realize a lot of times people do not understand the power of decisions. They do not understand that their decision has what I call an aftermath. So if everybody would write in the box, my decision has an aftermath. This is very important because some of you have been literally misdiagnosing your situation. You thinking things have happened because of people, but a lot of times, watch this, many things that happen in our lives is because of the decision that we have made. And what people don't tend to understand, a lot of people do not understand that decisions also connects to a force. So anytime you make a decision, you are legalizing the consequence of the decision that you have made. Let me say it again. You are legalizing the consequences of the decision that you have made. And so a lot of times people do not understand that. And have you ever been in a position where you've said, I don't know why this thing keeps happening to me, or why it's like I'll end up back in the same situation. A lot of times it's because your decision is still manifesting in your life, which means 9 times out of 10, the decision you made was not really a positive or a prosperous decision. And now what you're feeling or experiencing is the aftermath. You are experiencing the effect of the decision that you have made. So a lot of times you don't have people issue, you have had decision issues. And when you make the wrong decisions, or when you make a decision, watch this, that is out of timing, what ends up happening, it will throw, watch this, your position, your posture, and your direction in a whole different caliber. And so now you're moving, but because of the decision you've made, you're not progressing. Can I say that again? You may be moving, but you're not progressing. So I also want to put down in the box that just because I'm moving does not mean that I'm progressing. I want to take a moment. I want you to soak that in. Because a lot of you that are watching live, or whether you're watching by recording, you have did some things in your life, or you're experiencing things in your life based on the decision you have made 2 years ago, based on the decision you may have made last week, based on the decision you have made years ago, or your family have made, or your parents have made, that is connected to you. So people don't understand that decisions also connects to forces. Write that down. Decisions connects to forces. Okay, just want to take a moment. I want you to digest that, because again, a lot of people do not understand that these things that we're experiencing is coming from a decision. It is coming from a decision. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that. So let's look at a couple of other things, and I want you to catch a hold to what I'm about to share with you. So the first thing I asked you to do was to write down the word decision. And when you wrote down that word, the first thing I want to do, I want to give you the definition, just a simple definition, and then I'm going to break down what decisions really mean, and then I'm going to talk about the functions of decision. That means, in other words, every time you make a decision, these things are going to happen. Okay, so that's why I said this is going to be a very good session. It's going to be a brief session tonight, but it's going to be a very powerful, watch this, and profound session that can truly change your life. Listen, I told you before, I'm Dr. Dianna, the deal breaker. So the thing is, I want to break some patterns off your life. That's the charge. I want you to break some patterns off your life that's not giving you the results that you're asking for or that you're seeking. So let's start tonight with decisions, okay? So let's first talk about the definition of decisions. First of all, it is the act or the process of deciding. It's the act or process of deciding. It is also the act or the process of determining something. So we're talking about deciding, and we're talking about determining something, okay? And also, I want you to catch this, it is also a form of judgment. Decision is a form of judgment, a personal judgment relating to you. And let me help you. Every decision you make has, watch this, an impact on you. And then anyone that's connected to you, that is around you at the time of your decision, they also can be hit with the consequences of it. Most people don't understand. That's why your decisions are so important, because when you make a decision and it involves other people, your decisions and the forces that come with your decision will not only impact you, but it will impact others that are involved in your decision. Okay? So let's talk about it. So another definition of decision is the act or the need for making up your mind. Is the act or the need of making up your mind. Okay? So now, we're not only talking about forces, we're also talking about a mental state. When you make a decision, whatever that decision is, it is going to impact your mental state. You have basically said, mind, you have to obey the decision I have now made. You're saying, spirit, I have to obey the decision you have to obey the decision that I made. You're saying, body, you have to obey the decision that I made. Now watch this. I hope you catch this. Your decision, literally, watch this, has authority. So I don't want you to look at decision as this thing, but I want you to look at decision as a force. Okay? Stay with me. The next definition I want to share with you with decisions, because I'm telling you, if you're a leader, this is going to bless you. And so the next thing I want you to understand, that a decision is basically saying you're solving or concluding something, but at the same time you're concluding something, you are activating it to happen. So let me explain that. Decision is also you solving something, but at the same time you're concluding something. You're making a decision, or you're making an agreement to something by deciding. But when you make the agreement to something that you have decided on, you are basically activating the things that comes with that decision. Things do not happen until the decision is made. Okay? Till the decision is made. Very critical. And I hope you guys are writing this, and I hope you're sharing this broadcast. So let's go even further with it. Okay? When you make a decision, you're also saying, watch this, that I'm settling with something. So when you make a decision, you are settling in that thing. You are now saying, hey, I turn over my being to that force, to that decision that I've made. So now when things are hitting you, guess what? These things are saying, but you made the decision for me to show up. When certain things happen in your life, it's going to basically tell you, you called me out. You called me to come forth. You made the agreement that you wanted me to activate in your life. Somebody just put in that box, decision has power. Somebody put in the box, decisions have power. Okay? Now, when you make a decision, you're also saying not only that you're settling in that thing, but you're also saying, watch this, you are now in a place where you're saying, okay, you are legal in my life. So when you make a decision, you're telling that which you're making the decision on, you now are legal in my life. I give you the authority to activate in my life. So when we make good decisions, or when we make bad decisions, we're literally telling that particular decision or that particular thing, activate in my life. I give you legalities to absorb my life, to direct my life, to lead my life, to work in my life. That is why it's important that we take our decisions seriously, to move in your life. So, in other words, when I make a decision, I'm basically electing something to trust it enough that is not only designated in my life, but it would delegate my life. Can I say it again? It's not only going to be designated in my life, but I'm going to allow it to delegate my life. That's what decisions do. It delegates your life. So in other words, I can choose you to be in my life, okay? But that doesn't mean I've decided to trust you or depend on you to speak on my life or to speak for my life. So when you make a decision, that decision is going to speak for your life. Let's just take a pause break. I want you to digest this. I want you to catch what I'm telling you. So now, let's talk about quickly, before we close out this quick session, let's talk about one of the 4 functions I want to talk about with decisions. Write down, there are 4 main functions to decisions. And if you are a leader, I'm telling you, you need to listen to me. Let me just say this. We have a lot of powerful, great leaders that make bad decisions. Okay? They make bad decisions, or they make they make a decision that's out of timing. And so because decisions carry a force, and if you make the decision prematurely, then you're causing the force of the things behind that decision to come before time. And if some things come before time and you're not in the right posture, you're not mature enough, you're not ready, then even though it was a powerful, good decision, but because it was out of timing, there's not positive results. I've seen a lot of people that make good decisions, but they're not getting great results. And the reason they're not getting great results because the decision was made prematurely. Okay? So there's many of them. I'm going to talk about 4 because of timing. One of the first functions that a decision does, it gives that decision becomes a ruling. So write down the word ruling. The decision becomes a ruling. So when you make a decision, you have just made a ruling. Not for everybody else, but for yourself. You have made a ruling. And if you know and understand the definition of a ruling is an authoritative decision. That's all a ruling is. It's authoritative decision. So when you make the decision, you allow the decision now to have a ruling over your life. A ruling over your life. And this goes even deeper when we talk about different spirits. You give different spirits ruling or rulership over your life. They become now into a place that they can literally dictate things or allow things to come in your life, because when you make that decision, you gave them that authoritative power. Number 2, the second function that a decision can cause of you in your life, that decision now that you've made now can become a verdict that stands over you. A verdict that stands over you. And let me explain that even more. When you make a decision, that decision really is a verdict. And what I mean by verdict basically is saying that it's a law of action. So when a verdict is given, that means it's now not only a law, but it's going to be put into action. So when you make a decision, understand that decision you're making, first of all, it begins to have ruling in your life, and it becomes a verdict in your life. It becomes a verdict in your life. Okay? In other words, it can heal you, or it can try to destroy you. It becomes a force, or it becomes a law of action in your life. The third thing, and let me go back when I talk about verdict. When I say it's a law of action, we know that the law, when we say law, is an establishment of principles and regulations. So when I say that is a verdict in your life, then that law, that decision now has to regulate your life. It has to operate in your life. It now is going to have movement in your life. Matter of fact, there are some things you don't want to happen, but it's going to happen because of the decision you made. Okay? There are some things that you didn't expect to happen, but they showed up because you didn't understand the power of that decision and what the verdict of that decision will cause, or what the ruling of that decision would bring into your life. So I want to make sure you understand about verdict. Now, the third thing is that when you make a decision, you're also saying that these are my findings. Write that down, the third thing. These are my findings. Again, somebody put in the box, decisions carry power. Decisions, I'm going to put a sidebar. Can I just put this on the side for a minute? This just dropped in my spirit. And I want you to catch this. Some of you are going to really get a revelation. Some things that has occurred in our lives, watch this, whether it was generational, whether it was inherited, it was all based on the decision. That decision, again, carries rulings. It carries a force. So sometimes, watch this, some of us are running from the decision that we have made. Ooh, I felt that in the Holy Ghost. Some of us are running from the decision that we have made. We just want things to change. We hate we made the decision. But no matter how you hate the decision still has a force. Until you reverse that decision, it's still going to work the same thing in your life. This is what calls patterns. Patterns and cycles in your life is based on the decision, and that decision having force. So let's move. I just want to go there. So when you make a decision, now you have made findings. These are the findings. You have made findings to your life. And what I mean by finding basically means that These are the attachments or the consequences of your decision, and those consequences of your decision are going to find you. Listen, let me tell you, when you make a decision on something, you don't have to look for something to happen. It's going to come to you. Have you ever been in a situation you're like, why does this thing keep coming up on me? Well, it's like this thing is following me. Everywhere I go, it's following me. Well, a lot of times that's a force coming from a decision. And so because you have reversed the decision, the force is going to keep coming because you haven't turned that decision around. And let me say this. I didn't say you just saying it. I said you making a decision. Let me put it, the force function of a decision is that it now becomes a decree. Write that down. It now becomes a decree. It becomes a decree. It becomes a decree. All right? It becomes a decree. So, Dr. Hollins or Dr. Dianna the Deal Breaker, how does it become a decree? Well, first of all, understand that when you make a decision, let's go back. You now have made it a law of action, which is the verdict. You have given it ruling in your life, which is an authoritative decision. And what you've done now will have a finding to your life. It's going to find you. It's going to not only find you, but it's going to want to attach itself to you, and it's going to want to work your life. That's why I don't have a problem making great decisions, positive decisions, timely decisions. You following me? These decisions that are positive, that are timely. When I mean timely, it means they're right on time. They're by the lead of the Spirit of God. The decision you make are going to have positive results. Those things, amen, are going to bring positive things into your life. Some of you are getting favor and living on things based on the decision you made years ago. And because that decision, that agreement has come on your life, you're able to operate in things easier than other people. You're able to walk into certain things. And it's like you don't even put forth the effort. Why? Because of the previous decision that you made, you're still operating from that force of that decision. So I'm telling everyone that's watching, no matter what you've done in your past, make the decision to change the forces by changing your decision. In other words, when you change your decision, make it up in your mind that even though I did it that way, I said it that way, I acted that way, but I'm going to make a new decree in my life. I'm going to make a new ruling in my life. I'm going to have a new verdict of my life. I'm going to have now a new findings in my life. Okay? Because a decree is a formal and authoritative order. So when you make a decision, you're now causing that to be a decree. And watch this, that decision now becomes an order in your life. It becomes an order in your life. Watch this. The decision that you make will now determine the order in your life. Watch this. If the decision I've made is of disorder, then it's going to bring the force of disorder in my life. If the decision I have made is out of order, then it's going to bring out of order and confusion in your life. Your decision, watch this, is a decree. It's a formal and an authoritative order. Okay? It's a force of law. So what ends up happening, people don't understand that decisions do bring forth a force. I want to say this in closing. Sometimes we're not battling with ourselves. Listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, my leaders, listen to me. Sometimes we're not battling with ourselves. We're battling with the decisions that we have made. Can I say that again? Is somebody going, yeah, about 2 of you had a whole wow moment. Listen to me carefully when I said it. There is not a situation where you battle with yourself, but a lot of times you're battling with the decision that you've made. Some of you are like, listen, I'm trying to change stuff, but nothing has changed. Your action have made change or may have changed, but have you made the decision and the agreement and the commitment that you're going to make the change? In other words, I can move in things, but I still haven't made a decree over my life. I have not made a ruling over my life. I have not made a verdict over my life to make the decision to change. So that's why some people can change for only a period of time and they go right back because they really hadn't made the sound decision to make that change.